Now, can I just, because I'm always fascinated to try and get a measure of the Six Music listener. Would you consider yourself a regular Six Music listener?
Not that regular because it's difficult because it's on digital all the time and I don't have a DAB radio, so I can only listen it through my Skybox.
What do you do for a living?
I'm an IT contractor.
IT contractor, and surely, therefore, you've got all kinds of IT technology around you at all times that it means you can listen to Six Music.
Well, I do at work, but I shouldn't really say that, should I?
No, you're right, absolutely. And you describe yourself as a geek. I think he was 67 years old, is that right? I can't remember. What was it? 47? 37-year-old geek. Are you a music geek?
Yes, I'm quite particular about my music. I'm a bit sad, really. My CD collection has to be in alphabetical and chronological order, and I'm into things like Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, Jimi Hendrix, then up to Radiohead.
87% of the Six Music listeners are nodding their head in recognition as you said that. That's the tragic thing. That's what we're trying to change a little on this show, because we want to welcome all people in, but obviously you're more than welcome, Tony. Just a final question, Tony. Are you married? Are you single? What's your story?
I may as well be married.
You may as well be married. Right. Don't really know what that means. Thank you very much. All right, well, we really appreciate you getting in touch. Thank you very much indeed, Tony, and hopefully you'll carry on listening to Six Music as often as you can.
Thanks, Stephen. Great show.
Thank you very much, mate. All right, well, listen, it's not only Tony that's championing music. Dan, who have you got for me?
Well, I've got a track by Tom Veck, and this has been championed by Zenat, who may be on the line as well.
Hello.
Hello, Zenat. This is brilliant, isn't it? This is
amazing technology.
This is exactly like you'd hear on Radio 2.
I'm sorry for even doubting that she'd have been on the line. What a mistake.
Exactly. Now, obviously, I'm trying to get the measure of the Six Music listener. Zenat, who are you, and where are you, and how are you?
Well, I'm a 17-year-old Muslim girl, so there you go, different religions.
Yes.
And I'm in North London, and I'm recovering from what's been a very big week.
Really? Why? What's happened?
A lot of birthdays this week. My friend Jack turned 18, who you might be listening now, actually. He's a huge fan of yours, Steve.
Sure, he's only human.
And I had birthday dinners on Friday and Saturday, but I got back just in time to watch for the second time a certain someone's cameo on 24.
Yeah, well, I can't believe you embarrassed me. Yeah, no, stop. I'm sure you can probably find...
Oscar-worthy, so I don't know why you're embarrassed.
Thanks very much indeed. Yeah, for those of you who missed it, I was in 24, the hit TV show 24 last week in the first episode, and it was so brief. It was absurd. I mean, how long would you say, Zina, I was on screen? For about 4 seconds?
Yeah, but I was watching out for it, and I was really, really excited.
We were watching it, and because I live with Dan, not in that sense, but just he's my flatmate and also my tenant, and we were watching it, and because it was so preposterous that I was in that show that we burst into hysterics, and we were laughing for about 5 minutes. We had to rewind the show because we couldn't hysterics again. We had to watch it 3 times before we could follow the story.
Well, that's actually what Jack did when he watched it. So there you go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm hoping that I sort of stole the show. I don't know what your views were.
Well, I mean, I was outraged that they didn't give you any lines, frankly.
No, I know. Thanks, Tina. If you want to write a letter to the 24 producers, then by all means I'll send you the address. Okay, so what's this tune, Zina, that you're championing?
It's by Tom Veck. He was around in a kind of late 2004, early 2005, and he was never really on the mainstream radio. You'd kind of hear him on late night new music shows. And he'd released singles like I Ain't Saying My Goodbyes. It was very kind of dark, energetic, and then he released Nothing But Green Lights, which was very subtle and epic. But this track that I've chosen is on the funkier side of his album, so I thought we should free the funk, so to speak.
Absolutely, thank you very much indeed. Well, I appreciate it. What an eloquent description of Tom Veck. A round of applause, Steve Wright style for that. That was
wonderful. I think it should be called Steve Merchant style now. I think you've made it your own.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Thank you. The thing is, I keep saying Steve Wright because then I can get away with irony, you see, whereas anyone listening in thinks it's a bit lame to have a round of applause. I go, well, it's just irony. I was name-checking Steve Wright, whereas secretly I love doing it. Okay, Zena, well, thank you so much. I hope you listen, and obviously if you've got any other choices, then you can please send them in the future, because you've been a wonderful listener and a wonderful caller, and thanks very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's listen to Tom Veck and A Little Word in Your Ear. Tom Veck, A Little Word in Your Ear, championed by Zenat, and before that we had Clear Lake, championed by Tony, and that's exactly what this show is about, gentlemen. Okay, I've not heard either of those artists before. Both have charmed me, but I can only choose one for the Steve Show playlist due to a rule that I myself have set up for the purposes of radio. And so, interesting, tricky. It's tricky. You see, I did enjoy Tom Veck, and I thought Zenat championed it brilliantly, and congratulations to her.
It's a great tune.
It is a great tune. But I liked the almost Morrissey-esque vocaling of Clear Lake, so I'm afraid I'm going to have to go with that one.
Yes.
Round of applause. Just a subtle, subdued one, because I want Zenat to think she's a winner just for taking part.
Another round of applause, surely.
Hey, who said that you could start saying when we're going to have a round of applause?
Well, why not? Why not?
You're just a skivvy on this program. Incidentally, by the way, I should just point out to people, we get, to you guys particularly, I get a lot of emails and mail throughout the week saying, I hate Harry and Dan. Why on earth do you have those losers on the show? And that's a very good question. Thank you for emailing that in. Thousands of you. And the reason is because the whole point is I want to show that this is a show not about music experts, music aficionados, people in the music business. It's about getting nobodies like these guys on the radio to talk passionately about music, something I'm sure many of you people at home, you know, we had he was involved with IT, I believe, wasn't he, Tony? Okay. What legitimacy has his opinion got in the world of music? None whatsoever. But the point is, on this show it has, and that's why we're different. And so Harry is a banker.
Yep.
He works in a bank.
Yep.
What do you do in the bank? Well, don't give us all the ins and outs of it, but are you behind one of the little glass partitions?
No, I'm not. It's not that glamorous. I don't actually talk to people, so it's quite refreshing in that sense.
Perfect. And Dan, you do what again? Something to do with sports?
Yeah. I write for the BBC Sport website.
Okay.
Updated every minute of every day.
Thanks very much. Little plug there for the BBC Sport website. Well, listen, if you want to get in touch and recommend tunes to me and songs which could possibly make it onto the Steve Show playlist, then visit the website www.bbc.co.uk/6music, and you'll see my handsome face. You can probably follow that. It'll take you to the page, and you can contribute and send stuff in, and it's great. And thank you very much indeed. Let's just chill out for a second, all right? Let's just have a little moment, all right? Because we've got through a lot. We've been very hectic. Still to come, we've got the stupidly difficult music quiz, which seems to get more difficult each week. Plus, of course, we'll be catching up with Dave, who is walking from Land's End to John O'Groats for no particular reason. Let's have some My Morning Jacket first, Gideon, and then we'll come back with Mr. Cover.
BBC Six Music.
Steve Merchant on Six Music, the Steve Show. There was a big covers day, wasn't there, on Six Music? It was yesterday.
It was yesterday.
Yeah, was it good?
It was great.
Just an endless day of covers, was it?
It was Liz Kershaw's show, 3 hours of cover.
3 hours of cover versions.
As voted for by the listeners.
As voted for by the listeners. I can't believe I missed it. I'd have loved to hear that. I love cover versions. And that's why I'm going to play one for you now. We have a jingle. I think it might be slightly racist, but let's hear it anyway.
Well, I'm not sure, but we'll give it a go. Mr. Cover. That's not racist.
No, you're absolutely right. That's very fine. Yeah, we worried long and hard about what we could call this section, and that's what we've come up with. I apologise, but there we are. Okay, do you know what? I'm not even going to say who this is or what it is. I'm just going to let it speak for itself. Let's play. Ray LaMontagne doing his version of Gnarls Barkley's Crazy, and that's our Mr. Cover for this week. We only like to play the jingle once because we're a little bit scared. Time now to speak to our regular contributor, music fan Dave. Dan, bring us up to speed on where Dave is at and what's going on there.
Well, for those who aren't aware, Dave is an old friend of yours, and I was aware of him from years back. And you phoned him up ahead of your first show, just a couple of hours before, for the first time in 5 years, I think.
That's right, yeah.
And amazingly, he hadn't changed his mobile number, so he was still happy to speak to you.
Yeah.
And it turned out he was doing a walk from Land's End to John O'Groats, which is quite an interesting thing to do.
And what charity is he doing that for?
Well, interestingly, Steve, he's not doing it for charity.
He's right, yeah. Absolutely.
He's doing it for reasons which, to be honest, even though we've asked him, they remain unclear. And I find it slightly sinister. I think a lot of people do. The text messages have lit up, and a lot of people do find it quite sinister and a bit odd.
A bit weird.
Because it's nearly 1,000 miles. And if you're going to do that, if you're going to put yourself through that, why not do it for charity?
Do it for charity. It's almost perverse to not do it.
I would suggest so. So that's where we are. And so he's been, this would mean he's been walking for 2 weeks now.
That's extraordinary. Okay, Dave, are you there?
Hello, Steve. Not dead yet. Two things I'd like to point out. It's more than 1,000 miles. And
Okay.
that whole 5 years thing, that must have been just before you became a minor celebrity, and then suddenly there was silence. So,
Yeah.
let the listenership make
Dave,
of that what
Dave,
they
you've got to
will.
remember, I think you'll find I dropped your friendship long before that. I dropped you like a hot potato a long time ago, even before there was any celebrity on the horizon. Where are you now then, Dave?
I've got at least 4 limps, but I've made it to your kind of neck of the woods. I'm in Bath.
Oh, well done, man. Who pulls for Dave?
Yeah, I must say.
And how's the week been? Because we had some snow up here. Has it been pretty tricky on the way?
Cold, no snow. It's been painful and, rather mundane, to be honest.
What do you do as you're walking? What do you do to fill the time? You're just listening to music?
Whistling,
Yeah.
watching, learning, getting in touch with nature whilst lugging technology,
Sure.
mainly. Yeah.
And are you regretting this walk at any point, or is it still exciting?
There was a point when I was lost near Glastonbury in the dark and the cold when I was beginning to have second thoughts, but I pulled myself through.
Did you find any of the dregs that normally hang people there who just
I'm
starve from
telling
one
you,
festival to the next?
It's full of freaks.
Yeah.
It really is a very bizarre place.
Yeah, you blended in perfectly.
Yeah.
Now, did you drive down to Land's End and just leave your car there?
Oh no.
How did you get down there?
I was chauffeured by my current squeeze, who's providing support and backup and.
So your girlfriend drove you down. So your girlfriend drove you down there, and then she drove back to your home, wherever that is.
Yeah.
Right.
And then
You
drove
don't
down
get the
again.
impression that she's trying to tell you something, Dave. That she drove you to Land's End, dumped you there, and said, "I'll see you in about 6 weeks."
It did stop the car before I was flung out. But,
Right, yeah.
Maybe there is a message there.
Yeah, that's interesting. And so, but she's right behind you. Is she on this?
Well, I think it's the same as everyone else. There's a mixture of admiration, disbelief, and indifference. But you know, if I listened to what people thought of me, I'd never leave the house, would I, Steve?
No, absolutely, indeed. Okay, well, listen, Dave. What tune are you going to recommend? Because the whole reason I phoned you up, lest we forget, is not to find out about this, but because you've always had an excellent taste in music, and you've sent me some great compilation CDs in the past, which I do not endorse. That is a copyright infringement. And do not encourage it whatsoever. But you have sent me some excellent compilations, and I always like to it just make sense to have you introduce some of the choices that you've given me in the past. What are you going to select for me this week?
Okay, well, many artists have a brilliant first single or album. I'm thinking Oasis and Aqua. And they failed then to recapture that magic. This guy avoided that problem by making this song the only thing he ever recorded. My choice is Frank Wilson and Do I Love You? Indeed I Do.
Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed, Dave. We'll speak to you again next week, hopefully.
Yeah, I think I'll have a lie down.
Absolutely. All the best.
Bye.
Dave's choice for this week, that's Frank Wilson and Do I Love You? Brackets, Indeed I Do. And thank you to Dave, and obviously good luck to him. And Dan was just pointing out, we don't know yet if he's had to sleep rough, because he just set out on this adventure. He had a vague idea of a few B&Bs along the way, but generally he's just set off walking. And we're hopefully going to try and put up a link, because he's writing a blog and there's some photos of him actually doing it, in case you think he's just a hilarious comedy construct. He is actually doing this, which I'm sure we'll be able to put up on the website at some point. Now, earlier on in the show, I asked you, the listener, to notify me as to which track I should listen to if I wanted to familiarise myself with the super furry animals, because I do not know their music. I know only of them. I know that they are Welsh and they occasionally sing in Welsh, but that is the extent of my SFA knowledge. So I've asked for you to get in touch, and I will hopefully be playing a track and seeing if they win me over. Dan, have we had suggestions?
Plenty, Steve. They've been flooding in. Would you like to know what they are? Yes, okay. Well, it won't mean a lot to you because you don't know any of their songs, but Gilad, for instance, unusual name, but he's Dutch, apparently, so another overseas Steve fan. He says Juxtapose With You is the ideal super furry animals track for you. On the text, CD in Manchester, Golden Retriever. Matthew and Julia have teamed up to send the same text. Rings around the world, they say. Good work. That's the #1 super furries track.
Okay, none of these songs mean anything to me. Harry, you got any choices?
Yeah, I've got a text here from Robin in Fife who makes a very good point. You can't just bracket the super furry animals. You can't nail them down with one song, Steve. They do all sorts of stuff. You could go for the pop-tastic SFA sound of Hometown Unicorn, or for an SFA freakout, Mountain People.
Keep those suggestions coming then. We've still got a little bit of time left to get your suggestions in 64046. Okay, it's time for my hippity hop choice of the week. You may recall this track from his album that came out quite a while ago. It's Roots Maneuver. Let's hear it. From the album Run Come Save Me, that's Roots Maneuver featuring Charlie Tuna of Jurassic 5 and Joining the Dots. After the news, we've got Richard's stupidly difficult music question and more choices from you, the listener. Here's the news.
Digital radio.
Digital TV.
BBC Six Music.
Steve Merchant hosting the Steve Show on Six Music. Dan, what the hell is that piece of music?
I love that piece of music, Steve.
You better riddle me this. What is it?
Well, that's a track by a band called Fujia and Miyagi.
Okay.
But I like this new setup now you've got, because it's not me and Harry picking tunes from our own selection and going head to head. We're championing the various songs from listeners. So I'm not the only person in the world who likes that song, unlike several of my choices last week. Which is quite nice to know. Mamraj Sandhu has championed that, and he said it's a catchy bass line. I'd go better than that. I'd say it's a brilliant bass line, and it's the nursery rhyme at the end, the hip bone connected to the... He likes that for some reason. I'm not such a fan of that bit, but I think that was a great little number.
Well, interesting, because I know, Harry, your nose seemed to be turned up during that song.
Yeah, it was a whole load of nothing, I thought, and that wasn't really a compelling story in favour of it, Dan. You seemed to lose faith yourself halfway through.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's alright. I'm just hoping that it's better than your choice, but I don't know.
Well, luckily you've got no chance, because Pablo has recommended a track by Gorky's I Got It Monkey. Harry's 2-word review in advance is endearingly goofy.
I'm loving these 2-word reviews.
Yeah, thanks.
Can you do that for all